Monday, and the Tuning Out the News decision desk has been working tirelessly to get that just right screen grab of the 538 website. Biden wins in 89 out of 100 scenarios. And given that we live in a time where our COVID-infected president demanded to be driven around the block so he could smush his face up against the glass like a happy dog, there's no reason to assume the weirdest scenarios could come to pass.
Oh, for sure. Now, most pollsters are predicting a Biden victory or their own career shift into door-to-door toothpaste salesman. A conservative Washington Post columnist writes, former Vice President Joe Biden will win comfortably unless we experience the greatest polling failure in modern history.
Dana, is the greatest polling failure in modern history that hard to imagine in a country that's turning out to be the greatest failure of democracy in centuries?
Well, Kylie, I'm married to a pollster, so I have great respect for this profession.
Trouble in paradise.
I think they kind of got a bad rap the last time around. They actually, the polling did have Hillary Clinton ahead by 4 percentage points. She won the popular vote by 2 percentage points. And I think they've learned from the mistakes at the statewide level last time, so that they're taking more into account the white, non-college educated men who they kind of missed the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure they got the kinks out of their models just in time for this, insane pandemic election. Dr. Bloom?
Dana, as you discussed, the last polling failure was all the way back in 2016 AD, but as the saying goes, history never repeats itself, so I think we should be fine.
Junior, you're on the ground over there. What's the vibe down there at the Trump rally?
There's a real feeling of unity among Trump supporters departing this rally as they all try to simultaneously fit their hands into one old lady's pair of mittens while waiting for buses to come.
And Eleanor, my queen, what is the word from the Joe Biden rally?
Well, the word in a word is honk. Yes, Biden supporters have rolled into what's functionally a drive-in movie about an old man trying to save us all. And just like in Hollywood, the star is 80% plastic surgery.
Oh, we love movies.
Now, moving on. Today, President Trump made a stirring closing argument for re-election by telling the concerned masses what he thinks of people on the TV.
I like some of the things on Fox, certainly Sean and Laura, and Tucker's been great lately. I find Harris to be great, Harris Faulkner to be really good. The great Lou Dobbs, he's been fantastic, right? Janine, how do you like Janine, right? Jesse has been great. Pete Hegseth has been great.
I thought he was going to say Junior.
Honestly, smart play here. Voters are asking themselves today, is this a guy I can have a beer with while he spends hours yammering about Janine Pirro?
Oh, for sure. Now, Dana, do we think undecided voters are going to be swayed by Trump's Pete Hegseth has been great message?
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that President Trump has locked down the Fox News vote. The real issue, though, is 100 million people have voted already, and the forecasts are now for 160 million. To have voted by the time that the whole thing is over. So he's got to expand that Fox News base somewhat beyond the 4 million that he's got now.
Yes, absolutely. He does have to lock down Fox business crowd as well.
I gotta say, Trump's performance today was reminiscent of Al Gore's closing message in 2000 when he praised NBC's must-see TV lineup.
He's right to focus on this. He's generously telling his COVID-infected voters what to watch on their hospital TVs as the howling wolves of death lap at their doors.
Now, the president commented on the Supreme Court's decision allowing Pennsylvania ballots received up to 3 days after the election to still be counted, lamenting the court's dogged attachment to its last few shreds of legitimacy.
Get your ballots in and have them in long before the 3rd and have them counted before the 3rd and have an election where we can say to the world that we know who won and we know who lost. What a horror. Our Supreme Court, I'm just so tired of some of these horrible political decisions that are being made.
Now, Trump is going to be really embarrassed in front of his dictator friends if he lets the democratic process run its course.
Well, look, I think President Trump can see the same polls that the rest of us are seeing. He sort of paved the way to accept that he's not actually going to win the vote, but to move on to the next challenge. Today, we saw them building an impenetrable fence around the White House that people could not scale. We have seen him saying that he intends to proclaim victory tomorrow evening. Even the votes will not have been counted by then. And he's already talking about bringing more lawsuits.
Believe me, I'd be happy to talk about fences for as long as humanly possible, but let's talk about the facts here. This election has to end on election night when Trump is winning, unless he isn't, in which case we must count every single vote. And you can't pin me down. I'm a slippery little piggy.
You know, given Trump's previous career, his impatience does make sense. I remember history waiting with bated breath to find out if Meatloaf would make the next round of The Apprentice.
Or we could just eyeball it. I don't know. We could just eyeball it and figure out who's going to lead the country just by eyeballing it.
I don't know.
We could all
That's a
just on
good
election
idea.
night just eyeball it.
Easy to say for someone with young eyeballs.
I know, old eyeballs. We love them. Reminder, if you are at home listening to us talk about eyeballs, you might want to think about going and voting. Vice President Joe Biden campaigned in Pennsylvania and Ohio, where he delivered the closing argument of lying to the American people about what kind of country this is.
Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Let's keep showing them who we are. We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. And yes, we choose truth over lies.
Someone Biden's age normally won't hear that kind of honking unless they're shuffling through the middle of a crosswalk.
If this election hinges on honking, Biden's looking pretty good.
Dana, is it a tough argument to claim that the country that believes its politicians harvest the blood of children for pleasure chooses truth over lies?
Well, we'll find out. President Trump has, according to my colleagues at the Washington Post, told some 23,000 untruths so far.
What?
Look, I understand why Biden is making that argument to appeal to his base, who can't stand the president, gin up a turnout there a little bit. But the average voter is not really thinking about, does President Trump tell the truth? They're thinking about the economy, and they're thinking about COVID.
Dana, can I ask you, at the Washington Post there, when those fact checkers are counting up Trump's lies, at any point when you got to maybe 10, 15,000, did you think, hey, this is just a huge waste of time and money?
It's a fine question, and I think it's also fair to say if he repeats the same untruth over and over again, do they count that as another untruth? Or at some point, does he repeat it so often that it becomes true?
I'm not sure this is a good closing argument for Biden. 4 years ago, our politicians tried to tell us that Donald Trump's hate wasn't who we are, and Americans said, oh, yes, it is.
Well, look, Joe Biden is going to shut down the country. No Thanksgiving, no Christmas, no Trump rallies, no flaming scrotum contests. Why did we fight in World War II if we can't gather and set our taints on fire?
It is so nice to step outside my bubble and hear these perspectives.